In this video, we're going to talk about the four loops of quality as a framework to understand your quality control, quality improvement. This was really developed for manufacturers, but quite frankly, the same concepts apply to other areas as well. So first, what the four loops are. First, at the smallest level is the workstation or task. So this could be, installing a sway bar on a car, or checking your payroll or loading it into the system. So at any level, kind of the task done at the working level. The second zone, which includes multiple elements of number one, is basically the zone or the team, right? So this could be the payroll team. This could be the front end chassis of an automobile. So a section of the manufacturing plant or a team that's working together on a set of tasks. The third loop is the plant in a manufacturing example, or a process or location in other examples. Basically, it's the end of which you control things before they sort of head out the door. And that really decides our fourth loop, which is, of course, most important, the customer. Right? And so the goal is to understand where quality is inspected, where quality is controlled, and also how these four loops work together. So we want to start off with just feedback, having feedback between the loops. So we want to make sure that feedback from the customer doesn't just come back into the plant or process or location, but also, all the way back to the work itself, the workstation or the task. We want to make sure that people are aware that even if 10 other people touch the work, or 100 other people touch the work, that their work ultimately was received with a customer at subpar quality. So the feedback to each loop, first from the customer, but also from the plant or process to the team, and even from the team back into the workstation. So that becomes one key element, is make sure that these loops are interconnected through feedback. The other is feed forward. And so this is usually less obvious, but making sure that information about problems occurring at a workstation or team level are fed forward to where they can be done something about. Right now, usually this is not into the customer unless the customer is perhaps a B2B customer. You're shipping to another manufacturer who's then going to work with quality. You let them know that you may have had some defects that you hopefully have caught, but you want to make sure that they're diligent. If you have consumers as customers, you're probably not going to let them all know unless you're sure that things escaped. But certainly if they did, you want to be able to let them know. But a lot of times these can be both, basically either actual defects, so we actually have defects coming out of a zone, and we're trying to catch them all within that team, but we want to let the sort of the end of the process know, hey, we are finding and fixing these, but since we've found them, we're letting you know in case, so you can be a little more diligent, be looking for them as well. The other is essentially conditions. And this is essentially what happens when we're really looking for factors that we know can affect quality. So let's say a team has had a lot of turnover. At loop 3, you might increase your checking, inspection, and investigation of potential defects from that particular team, because that turnover and those several new employees might be a condition that leads to defects. It could also simply be variation that hasn't caused a defect, but variation increased, and therefore we want to make sure it's not leading to actual defects. And then, and so these two together, right, we're really looking for alignment. We're looking for alignment between the loops to make sure they're all connected. We really hate to see it when, I'll say, loop 3 is red, meaning that we're finding defects, but loops 1 and 2 are green, meaning they seem to think everything's fine. And we see this lack of alignment at understanding quality, its control, and actually its outcomes between these intersecting loops. And then, the last element is essentially, control, meaning where are we going to, when we find a problem, where are we going to fix it? Ultimately, we want to make sure that we're fixing things whenever possible at the workstation or task level. Sometimes we haven't found a way yet, and I emphasize yet, because we should continue to pursue that improvement at the workstation level. But until we do, let's make sure we have improvements in loops 2 and 3 so that we don't impact our customer. So, there's no magic in this, but what happens too often is we see organizations go after and emphasize one loop significantly over another. They might emphasize end-of-line inspection or end-of-process inspection and make sure it's good before it goes out the door, but ignore the workstation improvements. And the point is, you can't ignore any of these loops. All 4 of these loops matter. All 4 of these loops are interrelated. And as I said before, there must be alignment and interconnections between these 4 loops. So use this as a framework, use this as a lens, use this as a way to help have discussions, solve problems, and essentially be an architect of your own quality system. So I hope you found this useful, and good luck on your quality journey.